Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video, essentially I had a bunch of champagne bottles to customize, and I decided, you know what, let me just film everything and let me walk you through the process, and if there are any tips that I can share, I will share along the way. So this first bottle that I have is a bit heavier. It is a 1.5 liter champagne bottle. So there are two ways you can go about this. The first way, you can put a cushion underneath your bottle, and it will be a lot easier on your hands so that you don't have to carry it. That's option number one. And option number two is what I'm doing. I'm just holding the bottle by the neck with my non-dominant hand. And this is my preferred method because I find that it's a lot easier to pivot the bottle in small increments. So I'm essentially tilting the bottle bit by bit, pivoting it against the table at the bottom of the bottle. Alright, so you can just kind of imagine it's like tilted up at an angle. So this allows me to visualize a straight line easier without any parallax error. Okay, so these are the two methods, and I generally just go for the second method. But of course, if you find it a bit tough on your wrist, you can definitely go with option number one, using a cushion underneath, and you can still tilt the bottle. It's just a bit more tedious. Just imagine you have the bottle flat down, and you have to kind of like over arc your back or neck to look at the bottle, compared to tilting it up with your hand so that it faces you. Yeah, okay, so at this point you can see that I made a mistake. Or rather, it's not a mistake, it's more like as I write, I realized that okay, I added the date on the bottom right hand corner. Therefore, I want to balance it on the left hand side, so I use a alcohol wipe to wipe off the exit stroke of the letter M. Okay, very vigorous scratching of the ink. Actually, if you don't wait too long, you can still get the ink off quite easily. So yeah, so now I'm just trying to balance out the left hand side of the label as well, so everything looks pretty balanced throughout the entire piece. Alright, so moving on to the next bottle, we have a 750 ml champagne bottle, and this would be the tip number two. So the tip number two is, you can always, let's say you're not confident with centering your lines. Okay, if let's say it's a little bit too near to the left or a little bit too near to the right and it's not exactly balanced, you can always add flourishes to extend your sentences to balance it out. So for example, in this case, the Frederick name, okay, I wrote it a little bit too near to the left. Okay, so I extended it by adding a little heart shape at the end, and that's my usual go-to to balance things out in this case. And it's only appropriate if it's, relevant. If it's a couple, yeah, I can add the heart shape. But let's say if it's ambiguous, I'm not so sure if it's anything like Valentine's Day related or anniversary related, then I don't add the heart shape. I'll add something else that is like a simple flourish. Okay, but essentially it works both ways. So let's say if the Frederick word was a little bit too near to the right, then I'll add an additional flourish on the letter F, like the entrance stroke of letter F, or extend it further to the left. You know what I mean? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. And okay, I want to talk about the next part. Okay, so usually I just kind of freehand and freestyle, and whatever comes, whatever goes, in this case, there was a little bit too much extra space at the bottom below the date, so I added a little bit more of these kind of decorative flourishes at the bottom, Art Nouveau inspired kind of flourishes, because I assume they are French. They wanted a French champagne, so I assume they are French. Therefore, I added some Art Nouveau, very Paris vibes kind of decorative flourishes. So that was nice. And then I just completed the whole thing by adding the illustrative stars, especially if it is a celebration or anything, that is like congrats, those kind of messages. Okay, so moving on to the third bottle, the third tip that I want to share is use an oil-based marker. So this particular gold pen that I'm using is called the Sakura Pen Touch Gold Pen in fine tip size. Okay, so previously I had a really nice gold marker that I really like, and it's called the Zig Painty. So I've used that for ages. Usually when I go to like a store, I'll just buy everything and it's all gone. But essentially they discontinued, so I tried to find it everywhere else, like Amazon or like, you know, every other place I could find, but it's all gone. So I have to search for a new favorite pen, and I settled on the Sakura Pen Touch. I still prefer the Zig Painty though, but it's okay, this is pretty good enough. So essentially you want to go for a oil-based marker and not an acrylic marker, okay, not like a Molotov or any other acrylic-based markers, not like a water-based marker like a Posca, okay, because we want to make sure that the ink can last, like it's long lasting. And usually for champagne, you know, the customers, they are gonna put it in the fridge, chilled it, you know, before they bring it out, and you don't want the water from the condensation to ruin your artwork. Okay, so when you're using, oh, are we on the fourth? Yeah, we're already on the fourth bottle, but it's okay. So usually when I what was I gonna say, yeah, so you want to go for an oil-based marker because it's more long lasting, and it is more I wouldn't say it is scratch proof, okay, because you can technically scratch the ink off, but it's definitely waterproof. Okay, for water-based markers, they are not waterproof, and acrylic-based markers, they are usually water resistant but not waterproof. So you want to go for oil-based marker. So my personal preference is I like a very specific shade of gold, which is this particular shade of gold. So not too yellow and not too red tone. Okay, if it's red tone, it's like copper or rose gold, and it's too yellow, it's just like, you know, it's very, what's the word, it feels very old-fashioned. So I like somewhere like just right. Okay, and I also like gold markers where they have like a they dry off with like a matte finish. So there are certain markers where when it dries, it still feels really I don't know how to describe it. I just prefer a matte finish where it looks like really clean, very nice, shiny, you know, reflective under the light. So yeah, it checks all the boxes. So Sakura Pen Touch, my all-time favorite. Speaking of which, you can also increase the size of your pen or decrease the size of your pen tip according to the text length as well as the bottle size. Okay, so for example, I guess this is the next tip number 4. For example, if I have a small bottle, like a mini champagne or half bottle, I will, I can if I want to, so I can reduce the marker size from fine tip to extra fine. Okay, or let's say I am writing on same 750 ml bottle, but the text is really long, like a 100-word poem, let's say. I don't know who will get that, but let's say it's 100 words and I don't want the entire piece to feel very overwhelming. You can reduce the pen size from fine tip down to extra fine so that all the lines still look easy to read with all the negative space. Right. Likewise, if I'm writing a really big bottle, let's say 3 liters, I only have one word that says congrats. Okay, then I can increase the size of the tip from fine to medium size tip. Does it make sense? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I know, but it's good to have various pen sizes and you can switch accordingly depending on the, number 1, text length, and number 2, the size of the bottle itself. Alright, we are now on the 4th, or is it 5th bottle? I can't remember. So for this, let me think of another tip. So I'm trying to brainstorm and on the spot as I record. I mean, I didn't draft anything. I just hit record and see what I can come up with. So let me think for a moment. For this particular bottle, oh yes, okay, I can think of one tip. Okay, so the tip is not so much about writing on the bottle itself, but more of recommending the text to the client or the customer. Okay, so if you notice, the shape of the champagne is narrower at the top and it goes wider and wider to the base. So generally speaking, if let's say the client comes to me and say they want a really long word and that's the first word, I try to advise them to, is there a way you can rephrase, if possible? So for example, congratulations, right, is a really long word relative to the word Audrey. Okay, I mean, of course, if they really want this fixed text, I would just say, yes, let me do it for you, I can get it done. But if they are like, can you recommend me something that is fitting for a birthday, then I will recommend a phrase that doesn't have a really long word as the first few words. Okay, generally speaking, you want it to kind of look nice across the entire bottle. So if the longer words can sit at the bottom, that'll be a lot easier composition wise. Okay, in this case, they really wanted congratulations, Audrey. Usually when a client says like, okay, this is the phrase that I want, then I just, I don't argue, I just say, yes, let me do it. Okay, but it's only when they are not sure what they want to get yet, and they require your expertise to recommend a message, that's where I would use this particular tip. Yes. Yeah, I think that's quite a helpful tip, right? I think. Let me know if you agree. Also, anyway, I was reminded that this particular champagne is mentioned in Champagne Problems by Taylor Swift. So if you're a Swiftie, hey hey. Anyway, so end of the video, it ends here. Okay, so these are all the champagne bottles that I customized. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know which tip you find is the most helpful. And last but not least, I made this video thinking that most of the people who watch it would likely be a practicing artist. Maybe they want to venture into a new material or surface or item, or like a new service that they want to provide. But if you are someone who has not tried calligraphy before, and you want to learn and you want to master calligraphy, then I would point you towards my calligraphy course, and it's completely online. Or if you're in Singapore, you can also take it with me in person. And even if you're a practicing calligrapher and you want to level up, feel free to check it out as well. Anyway, it's yeah, I'm just sharing, so if any of you guys are interested, you can check it out. And there's also a free class preview. You can watch one lesson, see if it's a right fit. If it's not, no pressure, no worries. You can always wait till my next tutorial of sorts, or yeah, just feel free to, comment what you want to watch, I guess. So yeah, thanks so much again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.